I'm Dutch, and let's react to the Americans. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan, and I'm a typical Dutchman. And if you're planning to come over to Europe for your holidays, or if you're planning to live here permanently, or if you're wondering why is everything so expensive in the United States in comparison with Europe, then you're at the right place, because in this channel I take a look and react to videos about America, about life living in America, the cost of life and living in America versus Europe and the cost of life living in Europe. And for today, we're going to take a look at a video from James Bray. We're going to start with a subscribe and a like. Americans abroad realizing how badly America messed them up. Okay. It's a video from, I see, 3/4 of an hour, so I don't think that I'm gonna do the entire 3/4 of an hour because it will take too long. So somewhere in between I will cut it off, and if you want to see the full video, then look for James Bray, uninterrupted video of course. Then look for the channel of James Bray. But now it's 3/4 of an hour is way too much. So let's take a look what we have to do. And how messed up are the Americans abroad.
Then I realized just how messed up it is that American high schoolers are like security prisons.
I've heard it from you guys over and over and over again, and you're right. America has, to some degree, messed up my perception of the world. I've made several videos discussing how I've changed as a person, leaving the country and exploring the rest of the world, and, you know, identifying some things that I wanted to bring back with me when I return eventually to the United States of America. But there was an interesting video that I stumbled across, and it was basically a...
He has his his microphone up in his banner. I know him. I've seen some videos of him. Yeah, he's rough.
Americans talking about the first time they realized that America messed them up. And I actually have a story of my own. Basically, when I traveled to Germany, I went to the beautiful city of Aachen with a lot of really good friends of mine, and they were showing me around, and as we were roaming the streets, I heard this loud, and I immediately dropped down to the ground, and I looked.
He dropped down to the ground.
Looked around and nobody reacted. Not a singular person was bent out of shape. People acted like I was the crazy one. If anything, they reacted to my reaction. And I'm telling you, the boom sounded almost like a bomb. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like somebody set something off. But what it was a Polish firework. But I was so used to where I grew up in Chicago that explosion like that was either a wild ass gunshot or something, or some kind of firearm or homemade, and it wasn't. But based on how I had lived and what I was around, I'm like, ooh, dang, that's crazy. And then of course everybody looked at me, they laughed, and we proceeded on with the rest of our day. All to say,
take cover. Oh man, yeah.
There are a lot of things that are like this, probably not as extreme, that allow us to look at the situations that we're in and we're like, oh, okay, maybe it isn't that serious. Or maybe I had things messed up this whole time. I always wondered how Europeans or anybody else outside of the United States viewed Americans and how we react to situations that seemingly look unserious, but in, you know, almost aggressive or borderline hostile ways, and vice versa. I've seen countless situations and I've heard countless stories of Europeans traveling to the United States and us just pulling out guns to show them like, hey, look, we got a blicky. And of course they freak out. They're like, oh my God, good Lord, because it's a handgun. It's not a hunting rifle. It's just a handgun. And of course they freak out, but that's normal in America. So we're like, well, that's just everyday life. You know, you wake up, you load your gun, you kind of clean it out, you put it in your waistband or you put it in your holster of some sort and you move on like nothing's wrong. But in Europe, there's other things that put Americans on edge. And this is going to be very interesting. I'll share some of my ancestors anecdotal experiences throughout this video, and let me know what was the strangest thing you saw an American do in Europe and you could tell it was maybe their first time or whatever that they just weren't used to. And then what was the weirdest thing that you experienced traveling to America for the people who have traveled to the United States of America before? What was the weirdest thing you noticed in America? And I know there is something weird y'all experienced out there in America, trust me. I know we got 1,000,000,003 things that are strange in the United States. So,
Yeah. Okay. Quite an intro. Quite an experience. I've never been to the United States. I'm not planning to go to the United States because it's on the other side of the ocean. But yeah, let me know. Let's see what other Americans or Europeans have, no, expats have experienced while being abroad.
let's go ahead and get to this thing. Before we get started, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe if you guys are new. And let's go ahead and get into this first one.
You're an American currently living abroad. What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So I'm an American and I live in Norway right now. And one time I was going to help my friend with this project that she had, and this girl was still in high school. And so she was like, yeah, just come to my high school. You can help me out, yada, yada, yada. I was like, great. Where do I have to sign in when I get there? Do I need to wear a visitor's badge? Who do I talk to? What should I tell the front desk lady? She was like, what are you talking about? Just walk in and I'll meet you at my classroom.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
And my mind was blown. I was like, I can just walk into your school? Like, no, aren't they gonna call the police? Aren't they gonna send out an intruder alert? Like, I can't just walk into your high school and just walk straight to your classroom. No. Then I realized just how messed up it is that American high schoolers are like security prisons.
This is actually very interesting because in a video I made recently, I was actually talking about a very serious event that occurred in Scotland, I believe. It was the Dunblane massacre. And I was referring to a post pertaining to a particular American that was talking about why it was such a big deal to not have phones in school, because how else are people going to phone their parents if a mass shooting happens? And of course, the response was there was one mass shooting that happened in Scotland a long time ago. The government fixed the regulations and rules and it never really happened again after that. And it opened up a can of worms because I commented on it and I was like, oh yeah, to be fair, I did see another angle of the phone situation because it is still concerning that kids aren't able to have phones in school. And I referred to the fact that when I was in school, my parents gave me a phone to let them know where I was so they knew that I was okay, because I also hinted that there were abductions in my area. I grew up in Chicago, big city. There was a time period, and it still happens to this day, where kids get kidnapped on their way to school, coming from school, and even while they're in the school. Yes, that happens a lot. There are people that will impersonate a person's parent and take them out of school. Now in high school, that's a little different because you got a couple brain cells up there and stuff like that. But when you're
I hope you have. Okay.
a kid, you don't know any better, right? When you're a little kid, you don't know any better. So that's why there's all those measures in place. That's why we have metal detectors, because people have historically brought weapons to school. That's why we have heavy security, because things have gone awry. America is very chaotic. There is a lot of freedom in America, but unfortunately that freedom leads to people impeding on other people's freedoms, if that makes sense. Looking at
Wow. I've been a teacher for many, many, many years. The worst that I had in those 2 decades that I was in school, that there was one time I can remember a couple of years ago, there was an alert and everyone had to evacuate the building because someone with a knife was reported that there was someone with a knife in this school building looking for someone else because some relationship ended, kids, young kids, etc., so jealousy, etc., etc. So we evacuated the entire school, and it was a fake message. No one is found, nothing was there, but it's the only one in 2 decades that there was some kind of serious incident that I call an incident in at the school that I worked for. It does not happen. We don't have metal detectors. We don't have we do have security guards walking around, but it's more to prevent the people smoking in the school or to do other stuff that isn't allowed according to the school rules, but not because of weapons or anything like that. Wow. Huge difference between the schools of America and the Netherlands, and I would say Europe.
At that and realizing, dang, there are places in the world where you can just freely walk into a school because there is no reason to worry about kids being abducted. There's no reason to worry about a mass shooting happening at any point in time. That's insane. I mean, even saying that out loud brings chills to my spine because I can't imagine a school environment where you can just walk in the school and nobody checks for you. That's weird to me because I'm like, whoa, like every place I've ever been to, every school I've gone to, you had to sign in. You had to check in with the front desk. You had to have a visitor's badge. If you did not, and you just waltzed in the school, the cops would be on your ass like white on rice. Okay. That's a real serious thing. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Perspective from that young lady, because honestly, I would feel the same way. I'm like, that's insane that you guys just don't check. But it's not that insane when you look at the environment and the type of crimes in the area, the low crime rate in the area at that, you know, in America.
Yeah, he keeps on going. I will interrupt him now. The only time some schools, like also corporation, but some schools, they want you to sign in that you are at the school, but only to know how many people are in the school in case there is a fire and everybody needs to be evacuated and everybody's outside so that the school knows how many people were inside, except for the students and the teachers. Were there any visitors? And then we do a roll call for those visitors to see if those visitors are outside too. So if everyone is outside, then we know it's secure and the fire department can do their stuff. But that's the only time, and not all schools do have this, depending on how many entrances a school has. But some schools, you have to sign in for security reasons, as in fire security. We want to know how many people are inside the building, and you don't need to sign in to know or let me know who you are and what you're doing, etc. Yeah.
It's very different. I'm telling you. There's a big thing too. You guys talk to me about it a lot. The fact that kids can just go to school by themselves without their parents taking them there. They take public transportation. They walk miles, kilometers to school by themselves. And in America, that's not common because there is a huge possibility your kid's getting abducted or something wild is going to happen to your child.
Wow. Nah. No, that's not public transportation. It's for the students free, at high school at least. It's for free, and a lot of students actually come by bike or by a scooter or by some other means of transportation on their own or together with their friends or classmates. So in couples of, in groups of 2, 3, or 4. But they do this. And they get there safe, safe as in safe by a separate bike lane and all that. Yeah.
Child walking out there in the world to school by themselves. It's not common. One of the things I mentioned in the video where I talked about the 3 major things I learned from traveling outside the United States is the fact that I finally felt like myself. My actual self was finally unlocked, getting the chance to be in an area that was completely safe. It was outside the United States, and I got to find out who I was as a person. I feel like, unfortunately, many people live their entire lives and even die not knowing who they really are or who they really were because simply they were not able to get out of a zone or a bubble that was crafted around them based on what was happening in this scenario. So let's go ahead and check out this next post. But before we do that, I did read a few comments in the comment section of this video, so let's check out a couple. couple. I have to say, the thing with the Pledge of Allegiance is so weird, and I don't think many Americans realize just how strange
Yeah.
it is. To most people in the world, having little kids stand up and recite political oaths every morning that they have no hope of truly understanding feels like the kind of thing you would see in North Korea or a certain period of German history. Not
Okay, certain period of German history. Okay.
in a modern liberal democracy. I absolutely agree. I made this point in a reaction video that I did a few years ago, and I'm like, yeah, I did find the Pledge of Allegiance to be a bit off-putting in the context of little kids saying it every morning as a ritual, you know what I mean? Like, not a singular child could tell you why it was important, but they just had to do it because the teacher told them to do it. And I'm like, wow, that's strange, because you don't see other kids doing that globally, right? There's this sentiment. I'm going to have a few Americans in the comments like, well, they didn't win as many wars as America won. And that's the problem. I'm like, why do we need to pledge allegiance to a flag when you were already born in the United States? You're going to school in the United States and you plan on being a productive member of society in the United States. Saying a pledge isn't going to make you more or less of an American. It's just very...
Yeah. Strange. It's a strange thing saying that. The only thing that happens over here in Europe on certain schools is for the strict, the more, no, I would say the more religious schools, is that they start the day with a prayer. And that's with a short prayer, then they start the day and they keep on going. But doing the pledge, no, most. Well, I don't dare to say, but I believe 99% of the schools in the Netherlands or in Europe in general don't do this. No.
Interesting, because for a while, when I was really young, I didn't really think twice about it, but the older I got, I'm like, ooh, that is a little weird. Anyways, let's go ahead and move into our next comment that says, basically, health business is the #1 topic for 80% of these stitches. The rest are about safety, good food, quality of life, good yet affordable education, and the lack of gun violence. When you sum it up, that constitutes nearly all aspects of life. That only leaves one question. Why does the USA still have any people living in it? I understand why people still reside in the USA, and also Stockholm Syndrome's a son of a bitch.
This is just from studying abroad in the UK. We were at a public train station and you had to pay to use the bathroom, and I had never seen that before. And I was like, oh my God, that's like messed up, right? They were like, yeah, but we don't pay for healthcare or college. Stop yelling!
Listen, I do have to gripe and complain about that. When I went to Germany, same thing, bruh. Same thing. I told y'all about the time I peed on myself because I did not have the money to pay for the bathroom, and it was what, like just €2 or something. I didn't have euro on me. Everything is digital, right? But the bathrooms that I needed access to only took coins. They didn't have a scanner because obviously a lot of parts of Germany prefer cash over credit card stuff. That's gradually changing. That's actually changing very rapidly now. I mean, grocery stores and a lot of places are incorporating credit cards and whatnot, which is phenomenal. But in this particular situation, I was like, dang, I had a little accident. So I'm just saying, yeah, it's definitely annoying, but do I get it? Yes. Also, the dig at healthcare, yeah, free healthcare. I'm jealous. Okay, I am jealous.
So when I was a teenager.
Yeah. Now we're a bit shorter comment. Yeah. Having to pay to go to the bathroom, to the toilet, to a public toilet. Yeah, it has to happen because the toilets are cleaned up. But if you don't want to, it's not necessary. If you are in a city center or so, just walk in a restaurant or a bar, order something to drink, take a seat, relax, and you can go to the bathroom or in that restaurant or cafe or whatever you are at. They won't do any problem. It's the public bathrooms that you need to pay for because they got cleaned, and to prevent that other people messing up those bathrooms with graffiti, etc., etc. So yeah, you have to pay, but it's a nice and clean bathroom.
teenager, I went out of the country one time to go on vacation to the Bahamas, and we were staying at this resort, and shit happened. I caught a virus that was going around the resort, and then I had an allergic reaction to the virus, and I couldn't really breathe. But the on-site paramedic had already left for the day, so the hotel concierge took us to the hospital in his van and just told us to call when we were ready to head back. So we go to the hospital, I get treated, and as we're leaving, my mom tries to give them her insurance card, and she's telling them, like, I'm so sorry, we've never been out of the country before, I don't know how to do this. They told her, like, oh no, you just keep that, we don't take insurance here. And the look on my mom's face was terrified, like, oh my god, we're gonna have to sell our house, terrified. This was when they realized we were Americans, and they were like, oh no, don't panic, you must be American, we have universal health care here, you just need to pick up your medicine in the lobby, you're fine. The medicine was $8, and they gave me a note to give to the airline to get back into my own country.
Now that's wild. What?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good story. Yeah.
Okay, I would have absolutely panicked in that situation. I went to the Bahamas before, and I was like, interesting. I know one of the things they told us not to do was free roam around the Bahamas. It's cool in the resorts, but just free roaming and stuff, people are like, oh yeah, just, be careful. You feel me? Be careful. There's parts of the Bahamas you don't want to be Bahama-ing, okay? But yeah, that's cool. Universal healthcare is a flex. That's a super huge flex. I would have been like, are you sure? You sure I'm not going to get a mysterious bill in the mail for like $50,000 for the medicine you just gave me and the hospital visit and the transport to the hospital? Are you sure? Every American's on edge when it comes to healthcare, okay? You have to understand, we have to pay an arm, a leg, and a goat sacrifice every time we cross the threshold of a hospital. It shouldn't be a thing, but unfortunately it is. So if you guys have any funny stories of, Americans interacting with the health portion of Europe, please let me know in the comments down below. And by that, I mean like Americans too afraid to go to the hospital because they were in fear of paying too much money they did not have to be treated for whatever the injury was.
Yeah, it's always a shock for people to visit a hospital somewhere in Europe, and that they hear, oh, it's okay, just pay the local price for the medicine and be on your way.
Or something of the sort. Please let me know in the comments, because I know you guys have stories for days, and I love reading them.
I love this question. I actually don't live abroad right now, but I spent basically most of my 20s living abroad, and for 6 of those years I was living in the UK, and in my first professional job, you could say there, this one time I got really sick and I was feeling really unwell, and I was like, I had 5 weeks of leave, and I really had assumed that must have been like my sick and my vacation time in one, because 5 weeks is so much time relative.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Wow.
To American standards. And I was really sick, and I was like, and then I was like, but honestly, I don't want to use up my sick time. And my boss was like, what are you talking about? If you're sick, you're just sick. And I was like, but I only have I don't want to use my time. And she was like, no, you're just sick. And I was like, wait, holy shit, really?
I understand that sentiment all too well. It is
yeah, there is no I must be cautious. There is a limit to sick days, but there is no limit to the sick days when you're working. If you're sick, you're sick. You call in that you're sick, and that's it. It doesn't cost you any days, or it will be subtracted from your leave or your holiday days. Or no, you're sick, period. Call in sick, go to the doctor, be healthy again in a couple of days, get back to your work, and continue if there is nothing happened. I can imagine that for a lot of people from the United States, this is something, oh, what? Yeah, there is no sick day limit.
Interesting, because of course the sick leave in Europe is insane. That's separate from your vacation days. 25 days of paid vacation in Europe is insane. Now, y'all might not see it as insane, but then you get sick days on top of that. Listen, the capitalism And America will not allow for something like that. Bosses
Yeah, I reckon that. Yeah.
will be like, oh no, people will abuse that. We're going to lose so much money. It's not profitable for the business. No, we got to let you go. Listen, if people take more than 2 days, especially sick days in America, it's not uncommon for them to be fired, especially now, especially where the economy is right now. People are struggling to find jobs in the USA. I'm pretty sure globally it's probably a similar sentiment. Global economy is not really doing the best. So you can imagine in a country like America where capitalism is the name of the game, you gotta work until you drop. You gotta work until you drop, right? And so if the way that the mentality is for a lot of, bosses that own companies and stuff that run businesses in America,
I don't care what you and how you feel. You come to your work, you do your job, and if you don't, you can go. If you don't do your job, I will fire you and I will hire somebody else who does the job that I ask him to do. Because not doing your job costs me money, costs company money, and that's not good.
Is if the workers are not at work, there will be someone that will be desperate enough to fill their position and work if they're sick, work if they're, experiencing a loss in the family. They'll just have to miss the funeral, whatever. Someone will be desperate enough to fill your position. So they don't care about the people. They care about how much money they're generating, and your absence to them is a huge hit for the business. So 25 days, I'm telling you, when I said that just now, I'm pretty sure like 7 CEOs in America shudder. They're like, whoa.
Yeah, and he's talking about 25 25 days, but depending in which country of Europe, those numbers differ from 25 to 30, 35 or 40 days a year. And on top of that, you also get free, depending on which industry you actually work, during the Christmas holidays and Christmas, the Christian holidays, Christmas, Easter, etc., etc. So, yeah, you've got a lot of paid free days in Europe and the European countries in comparison with America.
I went to uni in the UK, I still live there, so I've got a ton of these. Probably the first that comes to mind is when first year I realized I was picking my seats in lectures about where I could be protecting in case someone came in and started shooting. And I brought it up with my group of friends, which had Americans, non-Americans, and all my American friends were like, oh yeah, I'm also terrified of someone coming in and taking us out in a mass shooting. And of course, all of the non-Americans were like, what?
I can't understand her because there's a lot of back noise from the AC, I guess, so I'm not sure what she's talking about.
Never been worried about that. And yeah, they shouldn't be.
Now, mass shootings definitely have been a more recent thing, meaning in the last 10, maybe 11 years, mass shootings have been at an all-time high in the United States. Because I do know when I was in high school, we weren't necessarily worried about the school being shot up, but it's Chicago, so shootings were happening every day, literally every day, outside the school, like just in your regular everyday life. So that was a different thing we had to worry about. But seeing that the mass shootings in America are nationwide and they are very prevalent, that's a very real thing that is sad to think about. Sitting by an exit or a window, so if a kid comes through blasting up the classroom, you have an easy out. That's actually something that I caught myself doing.
Okay, that's what she meant. When she was in the school or in a restaurant or something, she automatically was scanning for what's the best way to get out of here fast in case of a mass shooting. Yeah.
another anecdotal experience, not in the classroom, but in theaters. After the Batman Dark Knight movie theater shooting, every single time afterward, even to this day, I will look at the exits in the theater to know where to run to if somebody did come into the theater and start shooting. Because I do think that that's very important, knowing the exits and all the entrances and stuff. It's like a survival tactic. And I know that nothing crazy would happen here, but there's a saying, I mean, obviously you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And it's sad if you think about it, because why in the world would you have to worry about something that dire happening in anywhere other than America and in the schools of all places? Like, what the freak? That really impacts the experiences Americans have when they leave the country and go to other countries, because you bring that mentality with you. You're like, oh, I'm on high alert.
Yeah. Being constant on walking on your toes, scanning your environment for possible trouble. Yeah, it's hard. We don't.
Ooh, like, what if this happens? What if we're expecting the worst?
How can you relax even when you're on a holiday? If you're coming over from America to Europe for your holiday in any country in Europe, and how are you able to relax, to enjoy your holiday, if you constantly have your spider sense, your radioactive, looking around you, being looking for possible life-threatening things? I don't think that you can. It's terrible. How can you do this? You cannot relax, and if you cannot relax, then you're going back to America, to your job, and you're still not relaxed. So,
but hoping for the best. And I don't think that you should live life like that, but I do think that inherently Americans probably have some of the best survival instincts because of that.
Did y'all know that in other countries, they can go to the pharmacy and actually get what they need? I live in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia right now, and I went to
Ethiopia, okay.
the pharmacist, and I was like, hi, I think I kind of have like a UTI. Like, do you have any pain medicine, any cranberry? And she's like, why don't I just give you antibiotic? And I was like, huh? Then I go back and I'm like, hi, I'm going to South Africa next week, like on safari, like any good, mosquito repellent? And she's like, girl, you want anti-malarials? And then I get bold with it, right? I go in there, on another occasion, and I'm like, I'm back, I'm waiting for my birth control, like, to come from the US. Like, it's taken a while, prescriptions and doctors and all that. And she literally threw the birth control at me.
Yeah. Those are common things you can buy at any pharmacy. She's talking about Ethiopia, but in Europe, those totally normal stuff like painkillers to a certain level, of course, and birth control and anything about that, it's not for free, but it's without a prescription. You can buy it in any pharmacy to a good price, let's say 5, 6, or 8 euros, then you're done. Yeah. Wow. And even that is not possible in the United States. They want to make a buck for everything that they go over the counter.
Amazing.
Okay, throwing the birth control is a little diabolical, but that's insane. I mean, the whole point is all of that medicine was accessible and affordable. Like, I know I've done a bunch of videos on this, but still, that to me is shocking. I've only recently connected the dots, and I'm like, okay, medicine should not be as expensive as it is. But again, capitalism, America, this is...
Yeah, but capitalism, okay, is right, and then we want to make... But the other side is that in America, there are a lot of prescription drugs made publicly available for everyone, that they aren't in Europe, because in Europe, those kinds of drugs are only making publicly available if they are proven to be safe for the people. And in the United States, drugs are making available for the public until proven that they're not safe. And so there is a broader range of medicine available in the United States that aren't available in Europe because of their safety. And because of that, there's a lot of R&D cost goes into those drugs, and yeah, then the price is higher. I understand it, but still, birth control, yeah.
Society that every American lives in. Every American has to deal with that. And it's sad. It's very sad, because imagine not being able to afford the medicine you need to literally survive. And that is the story of millions of Americans today, right now, as we speak. It's a privilege, damn near, to have access to medicines that will restore you to good health or keep you alive. And it should be a right to live, but unfortunately, big pharma makes money off of people paying to get their medicines. But not just paying, because that's fine. Paying for medicine is fine, but paying ridiculously high prices for medications that would be otherwise like next to nothing in other countries. And
yeah, I agree. He's right.
Work just as good, if not better, in a lot of cases. So it's honestly sad. And then, of course, the saying, you get what you pay for, is also a thing. From what I've seen and what I've experienced, if you don't pay for better quality healthcare, you will get the quality healthcare you paid for.
So I have a really embarrassing one. It was my first time getting pulled over by a German police officer. When the cop walked to my vehicle, I was like, "Why'd you pull me over? Geez, I can't get a break anywhere I go. Is it because I'm black?" Then the police officer looked at me very calmly and was like, "Bro, in Germany, we do random traffic stops." Not only that, he also educated me on everything you need in the vehicle for a random traffic stop. After that, he didn't even do the random traffic stop. He just walked away and said, "Have a nice day." Very respectful. After he left, I just sat there dumbfounded, and I was like, wow, in America, I'm so used to getting pulled over for being black for no reason. And it really...
Pulled over for being black, yeah. Arrested for having a different skin color.
It changed my whole attitude towards police officers out here in Germany. Yeah, so super ignorant moment for me that I definitely learned from.
One other thing that I do want to harp on a lot too is the internet definitely is more prominent than ever, and a lot of the stereotypes and things we see do affect how we navigate in certain spaces. Like I did obviously see, I mean, we've all seen it, a lot of cases of black men driving and stuff and getting pulled over, beaten, berated, a bunch of things. And it really skewed my perspective on interactions with the police as far as that goes. And I do have an interesting story. So I got pulled over only 2 times in my entire life, right? And the first time I was driving home from work and I didn't realize I was speeding. Well, there was a loudspeaker behind me and flashing red and blue lights. And of course I heard the whoop whoop, you know what I mean? And pull over to the nearest right you can make. And I'm like, ooh, shit. And so of course I'm blasting rap music in my car. I'm going crazy and stuff. And I also freaked out the second that I heard the megaphone. I'm like, ooh. So I pull over in this little cut, right? Kind of like in this neighborhood. Cop follows me, and I immediately, as I'm pulling over, switch my radio station to some classical music, and I had a sunroof, right? So I roll down all of the windows of my car, and I open the sunroof, and I stick my right hand out of the sunroof, and my left hand out of the driver's window, and I'm like, "Hello, sir," and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm reaching for my license and registration, sir," because I thought I was about to get blown to smithereens. I'm not gonna lie, right? All the stuff I had seen on the internet, I'm like, okay, every single cop is like this. And so he laughed his ass off, and I was shaking. I'm like, oh, it's it. Like, I guess he likes playing with his food. So I'm like, oh my God. So of course he's like, dude, relax. You are going 10 over the speed limit. I just need to see your license and registration. I'm like, okay, I'm reaching for my license and registration. It's like, dude, relax. It's okay. So of course I give him my information. We both have a chuckle. And then I realized how stupid I looked, because not every cop does that, even in America, right? Although there are a lot of cases that do go in that direction. So I do think that because a lot of those situations have gone viral and they're becoming more and more prevalent, where we do see a variety of those types of videos, right? Of, you know, some bad actors in the police force that do the unthinkable to pedestrians and whatnot, and the civilians living in America. It makes tensions with everyday police officers and everyday regular people more hostile than they have to be, because there are other incidences of people driving that get real hostile with the cop, and the cop has to get hostile back. And so in situations where people are getting pulled over, they think that every cop is like that, and a lot of cops judge people by the most violent individual maybe one of their coworkers has dealt with, or maybe the most violent thing they've seen on the internet. And that's
okay. I'm looking at the time, 25 minutes. I'm not sure how long the video is, so I want to cut it out. But what the video is from 6 days ago. I guess with the current situation in the United States, and people can correct me, but with all those ICE raids that are going on in the United States, it's not good for the reputation of the police and how they act in comparison to the rest of the world. So everyone is watching how America and how the police reacting now in the United States because of this ridiculous ICE raids that they have to make a 3,000 arrests a day number. It's crazy, but their reputation will be ruined for a long time to Europeans, and why Europeans don't go to the United States these days. I'll leave it here. If you want to see the rest about how badly America messed them up, then go to his channel, go look for the full video. But I will cut it out of here. I'm not sure how much it is, but I'm babbling a lot too. So it's already, I guess, 3/4 of an hour. If you like the video, then press like. And if you want to see more of my videos, then these are a good place to start with. And I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button, because the channel is rising like crazy. So it's good to have a subscription and to see more of my videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.